All right, what's going on, my high vibrational expressions of God on earth? Let's jump in with part 42 of the Illumination series, but part 4 of the book, Neurowealth. Today we're going to go through each of the 5 chapters inside of the book, which is, again, a part of the basic program. The book by itself, where the book comes with the audio, or the 3 audios that we've done, this will be number 4, and with the book gives you a total for $99 for everything. Again, it's extremely important, brothers and sisters, that you over and understand that at the base, at the core of everything that we're talking about today is this hidden esoteric information. This hidden esoteric information simply means that it's hidden in plain sight. And so in chapter 1, the book really delves into the hidden cost of emotional trauma on your finances. As you may or may not understand, I've been doing this for a very long time. I didn't understand the significance of how my past was affecting my cash. Now, I've heard people say it, I've preached it, talked about it, but I still couldn't wrap my brain around how my past was affecting my cash. I've looked at this from many different angles. And so the book starts off talking about all financial hardship stems not from external circumstances, but from the internal beliefs that are established from the external circumstances that we call unhealed trauma. And so your past is costing you your cash if it's unhealed. So in the book, the book delves into, getting into the esoteric secrets behind your past, the unhealed trauma. So your unhealed past is messing up your cash. And no matter how you slice it and dice it, different people have said different things. I know I've talked about it. I've tried to get there without healing my past, but I always seem to self-sabotage because my past altered my brain structure. So in the book I delve into the neural pathways that reinforce a scarcity mindset. Your unhealed past is messing up your cash. You won't be able to accumulate. You can get it, but you can't keep it. It's really weird because you're not the vibrational equivalent of it. So until you heal your past, it will continue to cost you your cash. Your unhealed past is messing up your cash. And again, doesn't really how you slice it. It's messing up your cash flow. Your money's going to be funny. And again, you could talk to whatever. I skipped it because it's the past. But that past programmed you. And you're programmed for a scarcity mindset. So what happens, our brains become conditioned, especially the amygdala, the hippocampus, the pineal gland, and the pituitary gland. That makes up what is called the crystal cathedral. That is the gateway to God. That is the gateway to source. So the gateway to God, the gateway to source is being blocked. So no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how many mantras, how many classes, no matter who you talk to, no matter what Reverend Dr. Bishop you go to, no matter what you do, that mindset, because you have been conditioned. It's secret, it's silent, it's subtle, but it's crazy how each and every one of us are conditioned And if we do not go back and deal with that unhealed trauma that's in our past, and tonight's message, is just a promo, if you will, for the book to encourage you to make the investment, because it is an investment in your future. Your higher self is telling the lower self, we need this frequency, wave, verb, and vibration, or to connect with this particular frequency, wave, verb, and vibration. Because you have to understand that once a neurological network is established, a neural net is just what the Old Testament called a groove, Grove. It's like, I don't know if I grew up in the country, so we had trails all through the woods. And these trails were like a back way, and the grass was worn out. So we knew how to get I knew how to get from our house to my grandmother's house because the trail was there, and that trail was made by somebody else frequently walking through that specific path. And it's extremely important that you over and understand how that's established. And so that way, if you can establish self-sabotaging financial behaviors, you can also establish self-promoting positive. So the same way that your emotional trauma has become and has affected your cash flow, you can now use emotional trauma positively to rewire, to reinforce the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the pineal gland. So there is a neurological imprinting that takes place that affects the financial or affects your financial. So it isn't just psychological. It is also physiological. So understanding this connection is the first step toward healing and reprogramming the financial mindset. And that is the reason why this is, for me, this is so important, because this really helped me to establish the right frequencies, the right waves, the right verbs, the right vibes. Because I kept hitting that same brick wall, like boom, boom, boom. I kept running up against that same brick wall. And I didn't overstand, so that led me to chapter 2 in the book. Now remember, once you start to reprogram your mind for financial success, we have to start with the over-under and understanding of how quantum abundance, or frequency over abundance, an overabundance of frequency, an overabundance of frequency, not fortune. So the emphasis shifts, at least that's what it did for me. The emphasis shifted for me. And this neurological imprinting that took place allowed me to be able to see that, whoa, wait a minute. There is an automatic frequency, wave, verbal vibration that is happening. And that automatic frequency, verbal vibration is because my thoughts, my energy, my definitions is on the material state. And I couldn't see it at first. I didn't understand that when we align our internal frequencies, our thoughts, our mind, will, emotion, imagination, intellect, on externals, what happens is we've just sabotaged our success, because true success is internal. It's not external. And no matter who you talk to, no matter where you go, and we're talking about wealth, health, wisdom, great relations, all 4 areas is internal, because the kingdom of God is within. Now, we already know that, but again, going back to the number one problem on earth, bar none, is the fact that we have self-identifier with our flesh more than we self-identify with our spirit. So the neurological imprinting that takes place that causes the financial trauma isn't just psychological; it's also physiological. So we got to delve into that connection between the internal and the external, like it says in the Gospel of Thomas. Until you make the internal and the external one, your dogs don't hunt. That is so powerful because you can't. It's almost impossible to make the internal and the external one. Because there's not a lot of people talking about how to do it. We all know we should do it, but understanding exactly how to do it is what we're talking about tonight. So the book goes into deep dive, and again, the book and the audios is $99 for the basic, $1,000 or $9.99 for the advanced. Because in the advanced, we cover all three, and we go way, and also, include the book that I did on the 144 word linguistical epigenetics, which just simply is a fancy way of explaining the biology of the science behind how to rewrite the amygdala, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. And again, that's all talked about inside of this book, Neurowealth. So number one, chapter one is the fact that, okay, I'm sitting here, and for whatever reasons, my hippocampus, my pituitary gland, my pineal gland, my amygdala, that is the crystal cathedral. That is the gateway to God, according to the ancient text. There is a veil that is preventing me from psychologically and physically understanding what is disconnecting me from healing and reprogramming my trauma. Now, identifying the trauma is one thing, and we've talked about that before. Your neurological activation sequence is just a resonance pattern. It's your limbic system. And it taps into the mitochondrial DNA, the memory inside the CA1, CA2, and CA3. So each word, each number, and each color in your new 144, and I sent you guys a picture of Sister Coleman's, and these charts are so in depth because until I can, kind of like when I first started with the Dear Canary reports, until I can automate them, I mean, it takes, man, a good 5 or 6 hours just to fill in all of the colors because it's such small and it's such, I used the word tedious, but it's worth it. Because when you look at it, when your eyes look at it, it affects and it triggers the instructions inside of your DNA codes that are turned off. Now, I'm not talking about motivation. I'm not talking about inspiration. I'm talking about biology. This is your own biological wealth code. We all have it. It's just lying dormant. And what this does, your own Mandela, how you say it, Mandela, it's just what the dominant culture knows, which is called sigil magic. Now, again, I don't recommend it. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend that you go and do a deep dive on understand visual and imprinting and sigil magic, like in the movie Sinners. And inside of that movie, hopefully you guys seen it already. I like the best thing I like is how the Native Americans is chasing the guy who just happens to be Caucasian. And they just happen to be Native Americans. Because it all talks about, as I've been saying, for 20, 30 years, saying as the Bible says. This entire cistern or system is flawed. Something is not right. Now, a lot of people are not able to wrap their brain around that because it's hidden in plain sight. So when we talk about the neurological imprinting that is taking place on us, it's like the Eiffel Tower. If the Eiffel Tower is named after the guy who worked with Tesla to create the Eiffel Tower. And it was what? Free energy. It was like the Tower of Babel. Well, you know what happened to him? He got excommunicated. Nobody knows what the Eiffel Tower. They say, oh, you go over to Paris, you see this big old tall Eiffel Tower, where it was sending out a frequency wave vibration where it was basically the internet back in 1700s. But they told us the internet was new. So number 2 is the frequency of your own personal fortune. Your frequency is hidden in chapter 3. But chapter 2 explains that in the quantum realm, everything is frequency, including your thoughts, your emotions, your imagination, your intellect. And that frequency is abundance. So Yahushua came. You know, the Bible talks about Jesus wish above all things I wish above all things that you prosper, be in health, even as your soul prospers. So source code, you are designed. Scarcity, sickness, struggle, that is a Luciferian construct. So if you are experiencing scarcity, permanently, if it keeps hanging around, that means that your program is in a material state. That just simply means that your internal frequencies are not in alignment with the frequency that is lying dormant inside of the mitochondrial DNA. So chapter 2, I delve into the principles that are based upon what is called quantum physics and quantum mechanics, which is nothing but crystals or the crystals, because you have crystals in your DNA. So this is how your consciousness interacts with the quantum field, a.k.a. this is how you connect with the Holy Spirit. This is how you walk in the Spirit, like it says from the biblical text. So chapter 2 delves and gets into, okay, how do you harness? How do you interact? How do you shift? How do you change from lack to abundance? Because it's a mindset. It's not physical. It's a mindset. You have to reactivate, recode, reignite your dormant DNA with the 144 linguistical epigenetic attributes and characteristics that are given to you by God. That's chapter 3. So in chapter 3, we get into how colors are used to reprogram your unconscious mind, how each color, each word, each number is used to create a specific frequency or resonance to help facilitate the activation of the neural pathways associated with abundance. How through the process of visualization and vocalization, you're able to modify how your genes are expressed without going in and physically cutting and altering through CRISPR-Cas9 your DNA. This is called epigenetics. So this process of you not only visualizing, but also you verbalizing. 3, for example, I can look at the number 3. I can look at the color yellow. I can verbalize the word creativity. That's me. By me doing that, that modifies how my genes are expressed. It alters my DNA sequence. It empowers me. It transcends my heredity. It transcends my past. It transcends, it overrides my negative habit pattern. This is how I empower myself to rise above my inherited, familiar, family liar struggle fest. I'm able to embody a new wealth identity. Because in chapter 3, when I look at how source code has designed and gifted me, and through this process of something that is frequently repeated with an emotional response, it elevates your consciousness. It elevates your awareness. As we've been talking about in all of the other series, in all of the other books, especially when we talked about Homo Luminous, and especially the book on Fear Farm. And then remember we was talking about how they used the emotional web of the archons, because fear is the gatekeeper of control. The primary tool that lowers your vibrational frequency and disconnects you from the divine spark, the Holy Ghost, the spirit that is within you, is anxiety about the future. Why do you think the dominant culture is rolling out all of this stuff right now, cutting jobs, doing all of the stuff, whether you're for it or against it, it makes you feel what? Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the future. Why would they do that? Because fear creates a energetic instability inside of you, and it makes you easier to be manipulated. It keeps you from trusting in Source or in God or Yahushua the HaMashiach. So you're not able to overcome by cultivating trust in God, trust in yourself. It creates the seeds of division, which brings about resentment. And so you have a cycle of reaction instead of proaction. That attracts demons and devils, like in the movie Sinners. The vampires are attracted to your fear. They can't do nothing. Remember in the movie they came and stood at the door. They have to wait for you to invite them in. How do you invite them in? With an obsessive pursuit of wealth or power, an excessive focus on physical pleasure, the insatiable need for validation, greed, and lust that is not purpose-based produces what is called envy. So envy arises when you compare yourself to others and you believe that, hey, this is cruel, harsh, and unjust. The archons are attracted. They are drawn to you. And so they hang out with you. And then you have this lack of purpose, lack of direction. You have this overwhelming sadness. You have a feeling of apathy. You have a belief that, man, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going right, so you settle. And that's how the archons keep you stuck in this low fold or this low vibrational frequency wave and vibration, because according to all of the Gnostic texts, the Nag Hammadi texts, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and everything that I've read, these demonic entities that created the lesser god, the demiurge, the god of what, most people believe is God based upon Sabato, the god of what we call the Helios Bilios or the Bible. Unlike the true source, the demiurge is imperfect, god of anger, wrath. So the demiurge distorts reality to feed negativity. So my people perish for lack of knowledge. It's this lack of knowledge, this lack of awareness. You become what you believe to be true. And what you believe to be true has been told to you or given to you. So your job is to what? Build, create, establish your own frequency, wave, and vibration that's based upon your life experiences and your research. Knowing how to get the feeling of having what you want before you receive it. Because negativity is not an obstacle. Negativity is a force that is used for the transformation of the soul. So negativity is typically not negativity. We talked about that in the book, How to Turn a Negative into a Positive. And we did that book and we did that series. Why? Because we all experience negative habit patterns. And that negative habit pattern is just that old fear-based cistern or system sticking around. It doesn't want to change. So the only way out is to use the cosmic key that was given to you, because it unlocks your latent God-given potential. You are born with a set of codes, with a set of keys. And it awakens you. It empowers you. It inspires you. Because whatever or whoever you attend to, you become one with. So if you attend to the 144 attributes and characteristics that are given to you by God, it gives you direct access to the dormant mitochondria memories that, remember, they call that, depending on what culture you're from, it's the Aztec records, playing higher self. In other words, everything that could be already exists. Then you get into the Nag Hammadi text where it says that the dirt traps stardust through deception, addiction, and forgetfulness, but it is only temporary. So man is a god trapped in a body. This is called anthropos, the Greek word for a human being, which signifies in archetypal form a spirit, a star that is trapped in physical form. So to get out of the physical form, you got to delve into what it talks about inside of all of the ancient texts. Where, again, the Gospel of Thomas says that if you bring forth what is within you, say it again, if you bring forth what is within you, where's it at? If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. I mean, I didn't say that, it's in the Gospel of Thomas. By awakening the divine spark through gnosis, the soul shatters the demiurge illusion, transmuting dirt into the catalyst for ascension. You are stardust. You were never meant to be trapped and stay trapped in dirt. Dirt is dense, compiled, slowed down, dumbed down stardust. It is through the transmutation of dirt. That's what Yahushua the HaMashiach did. He came down, he took the keys of death and the grave. And he said, death, where's your victory? Grave. Death, where's your victory? I mean, it doesn't have no victory. Grave, where's your sting? I mean, death, where's your sting? Grave, where's your victory? So neither one of them have power over you. So when what we're talking about inside of this book and this entire series, remember, everything that I'm doing for the rest of the year inside of the Illumination series, which is the audios, all 180. We're on 43 tonight. All 180 1-hour audio shows is a part of the Illumination Roundtable, which is a separate system. That's for $1,000 or $25 for each show. What we're doing is going step by step through this process of breaking down how neurological imprinting is affecting you and creating financial trauma. And how everybody on this call has been adversely affected by the past. We haven't healed. And the 144 linguistical matrix gives you the 144 encoded frequencies that rewrite your story of money. We talked about money, power, and respect yesterday. Each word, each number, each color is a realignment with your own soul, which is the life flowing of ease, purpose, prosperity, and expansion. You're not a beggar. You are a frequency bearer. You are an individual expression of God on earth. You are not here chasing wealth. You are wealth. So the only question is, which of the 144 attributes and characteristics are you going to use to override and activate the reticular activating system? Because the reticular activating system is your inner wealth filter. It's the part of the brain that filters what you notice and what you ignore. So if you're programmed by scarcity, trauma, and generational lack, your reticular activating system is trained to filter out faith and filter in fear, even in the presence of abundance. You can't see it. In other words, I can give you $1 million, and in my hand would appear empty to you. And this is the science behind how the brain cannot process. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. The brain is a program, it's a computer that you program with a code. And I'm giving you the 144 codes to reprogram your brain that way you can see. You already got $1 million in your hand. You just can't see it because the brain is programmed not to see it. I wish to God you could understand what I just said. You can't do enough of whatever you're doing to make money. I can't make myself black. No matter what I do, I got melanin in my skin. So, the Coleman, I could tan, I could sit out in the sun, I could do all types of shizness, Sister Shekinah, and guess what? Sure, I may get a little blacker, but I cannot make myself white. And if you Caucasian, you cannot make yourself black. The moment that we tap into the only way that I or you can be broke, busted, and disgusted is if I or you are not being our true authentic self. You and I are made in the image and the likeness of source code. But some frequency, wave, verb, or vibration conned and tricked us into believing that we have to go get money. We don't know that we are money. We have to get health. We don't know that we are. So everything that we trying to get, we already got. It's just on another frequency range. The moment that you change the channel, you change your life. Chapter 4 is how it helps you over and understand exactly how you change the channel. In chapter 1, we break down that the cost of your past is costing you your cash, and you have bonded with trauma, not you personally, but and now you are reinforcing scarcity using the reticular activating system, the hippocampus, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, is all programming you for poverty. So the first thing starts is awareness, which is chapter 2. Chapter 2 exposes you to the principles of money. Chapter 3 says that the principles of money and the principles of the 144 words that creates the linguistical epigenetics are exactly the same. So chapter 4 introduces how do we switch, how do we rewire the brain from scarcity to prosperity. Because the brain has both systems already built in. Someone laid on top a new system. Well, thankfully, your brain and my brain has neuroplasticity. And so chapter 4 breaks down the techniques of mindfulness, proper self-identity ID, and cognitive reframing by using the 144-word matrix that we talked about in chapter 3 to bring about a cognitive shift by establishing a proper ID, as we talk about in every show. Because you can't be what you can't see. So everything starts with a proper ID, a proper self-identification system. You got to see yourself as an individual expression of God. Once you establish the new self, the proper self-identity, you got to make sure that your mind stays full of that, instead of the mind being full of what's present. What's present, bam, neuroplasticity happens. That means that you start to change and adapt by intentionally directing your thoughts, intentionally directing your behaviors, and you start to forge new neurological networks and new neural connections to support the new self-identity, the new mindfulness, and the new cognitive reframing. So I'm going to cognitively, consciously expose my reticular activating system to a new set of parameters. I'm going to train my brain to focus on opportunities instead of obstacles. Once you are able to focus, to train your own brain, it's your job. You have to train your own brain, mind, will, emotions, imagination, intellect, to notice. And by brain exercise of reticular activating system, you got to do it though. You have to train your own reticular activating system. And it will start to notice opportunities, a plethora of them, instead of obstacles. Right now, the obstacles are blaring. They're pretty powerful. They're always there, and the opportunities are always there. The one that manifests is, remember like that story, the old Native American story? Every man has 2 wolves. And they're fighting for supremacy. Which wolf wins? Well, the one you feed. So you got 2 O's fighting for supremacy. Opportunities versus obstacles. Which one wins? Just like the Native American story about the 2 wolves. One that you feed, that's the one that's going to win. Which takes us to the final chapter, chapter 5, which is how do we electrically, magnetically change our body to neurologically send out the frequency of wealth? Embodying neurowealth, living in abundance daily. Oh, it's one thing to, talk about it and say that, oh, yeah, I'm wealthy, I'm healthy, I'm wise, get my toes curled every day. It's one thing to say it. But it's another thing to be the vibrational equivalent of it, to electrically, magnetically embody it. How do you change your body, your physiological essence? How do you achieve neural wealth? You see, it's not a one-time event. It's a continuous daily mindfulness. So in the last chapter, I break down some strategies to assist you with integrating neural wealth into your daily life, emphasizing the importance of growth, or what we call personal development. So if you are doing the same stuff that you've been doing, 3 years ago, yeah, you definitely want to jump on this. Because by embodying the neural wealth mindset, you experience mental clarity, emotional balance, spiritual, and material freedom. So the journey, even the journey, it's like a call, just like salvation. See, you've been called, you've been chosen, you're a joint heir, you're a royal priest, you've been sanctified, you've been justified, you've been glorified. So all you have to do is do what? Understand that wealth is a frequency. It's not a bank balance. Now, easy to say, wealth is a frequency. It's not a bank balance. It's easy to say, money flows where attention goes. Money flows where there is a attentive goal. Money flows where there is a attentive goal. G-O-A-L-S. Because energy flows where attention goes. G-O-E-S. It's all about goals. Because remember, wealth is not found or created. Wealth is matched. It's aligned. But abundance is not money. Money is a symbol of abundance. Abundance is a vibrational state of mind. So the matrix, if you want to use that term, this system that we're in is a cosmological, theological, bio/neurological system. And the way that you program this cosmological, theological, biological system is through numbers, words, and colors, or math, music, and language. That triggers the pattern that creates a neurological firing. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So when we repeat a wealth-coded word, which is inside, you got 144 wealth-coded words. Let me say it again. You got them. What if you train your perception and you train your reality to match? You have 144 wealth-coded numbers. You have 144 wealth-coded words. You have 144 wealth-coded colors. It's all inside of your DNA. So over time, this rewrites the reticular activating system, which is the brain filter, and it rewrites it to look for opportunities instead of threats. It rewrites it to look for wealth instead of worry. It rewrites it to look for success instead of struggle. But you need the 144 wealth-coded numbers and words that's inside of your 144 epigenetic life optimization activation Kirka a circle. We all have it. Again, the book and the audios are $100 for the basic program. We will be continuing as tomorrow. We probably break it down tomorrow as well. We'll break down for the people that are actually interested in, as well as understanding, overstanding, anything. Even though I've already sent out the link a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? of what's all included inside of the advanced. And again, the Neurowealth Advanced program is all 3 books in our 12 hours. And we do it in 4 payments, or just 1 payment of the $1,000 for all 3 books. The one on Neurowealth, which we're doing tonight, talking about. Book 2, that breaks down the neuroscience of the reticular activating system, the limbic system, and the quantum cognitive anchoring. And then book number 3, which breaks down how to recode the trauma loops. Because these trauma loops that we touched on tonight is preventing you and I from accessing and operating in our wealth, health, and wisdom, because the reticular activating system, because of our past, is messing up our cash. So we got to retrain our reticular activating system to notice opportunities instead of obstacles. So this entire series that is a part of the Illuminator and the Illumination series, the books are not, but the audios are. So if you're already part of the Illuminator series, okay, you get the audios. That's why a lot of you guys are tuning in tonight. But the actual books that goes in a deeper dive, because of the importance of understanding and having these books as reference materials along with the audios to assist you. Because remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing, and hearing, and hearing, and hearing, and hearing, and hearing. That's why we do these audio shows. That's why I have the books. That's why I do 2 or 3 shows a day, to get you out of pleasing, performing, and obeying. Remember when we talked about money, power, and respect? Everything is inverted on this planet. Right now, all warfare that's being waged on you is based upon deception. And there's just different levels of deception. I'm deceived. You're deceived. Everybody on this planet is deceived. The Bible says there's none righteous, no, not one. I just make sure that I'm the least deceived out of the people, the places that I go. So that way I'm able to express, expose, and expand, and model the behavior of a Homo Illuminus man. So that way when people see me, they see source. They see that there is a problem. Because if you are bonded to something or someone else, you don't have time to be bonded to yourself. So we talked about the 5 keys of bondage. Number 1, false worship. Number 2, delusion of separation. Number 3, addicted to your senses and your sensations. Number 4, emotional bondage, baggage, and trauma. Number 5, spiritual amnesia, which is all of this is in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 15. It's also inside of the book and the audio that I did entitled The New Man. Your cosmic codes are yours, because the universe is mechanical. It's not emotional. When you stop making decisions based on how you feel, and you start making decisions based upon how Source and God designed you, that's when you awaken, that's when you align, and that's when you ascend. We live in a world where we think we need to experience 3D in order to access 9G. That is not true. How you self-identify determines how high you fly. If you choose not to self-identify as an individual expression of God on earth, your brain will only seek to validate what it already knows. The brain only validates what it already knows. If you do not give your brain new informing, the brain will not go in and form anything new. If you continue to repeat chronic stress, you're going to generate long-term changes in the brain that leads to anxiety and mood disorders. All issues and problems is a result of chronic and toxic shame and guilt that's usually caused by rely on religion. Your brain on stress creates a neurological fog that creates mess. Your brain on stress creates a neurological fog that causes mess. My brothers and my sisters, you want to pick up that book as well, my book that I did on neurological fog, to give you the neuroscience behind why you in Groundhog Day. Not you personally, but people you know. That's all since I started the book, Homo Luminous. And I love you. Make sure you pick up the book and the audios. Again, $99. I'll take you advance for $9.99 or 4 payments of $250. I love you. And then you can do about it. How much you get the top. God bless.